The SEC championship has been set in stone. I bring in Seth Emerson now to give us an early look at this matchup between Alabama and Georgia. Seth Emerson with The Athletic, and we'll start with Kirby Smart. In his third season at Georgia, having a lot of success. This is the second time Georgia has clinched the SEC East in dominant fashion under Kirby Smart. Just talk about the success that he's having and how important it is for this program.
Well, go back in Kirby Smart's first season, they go 8-5. Disappointment. Anytime you start anew, you're going to have those adjustment issues, not like Gus Malzahn in his first year at Auburn going to the national championship game. And then they take that year two leap under Kirby Smart and win the SEC and win the Rose Bowl and go to the national championship game. And we know how that ended. They very nearly won it all. Having another year like this, winning the division again, it really solidifies that last year wasn't a fluke. And that last year wasn't just because of this veteran-laden team that they had. Kirby Smart is doing it with almost all of his players, and he's recruiting on the side to the point where a lot of people around here, around Georgia, are kind of accepting that they're going to be underdogs to repeat as SEC champion because of how good Alabama looks and how Georgia struggled at LSU. And they're kind of accepting that, well, we may only go 11-2 and then go to the Sugar Bowl, let's say. But 2019 is our year, is the real springboard. And there isn't that much shame in that if it ends up going like that. So there is still the sense that Kirby Smart is building a juggernaut. They did not take a step back this year as far as we know, unless they struggle down the stretch here. So it was big.
So Nick Saban talks about some of those painful losses and how he uses it to motivate his players. Kind of the same goes for the disciple, Kirby Smart. What are you hearing from Kirby Smart in terms of how they're using the 2018 national championship loss to motivate the players?
Oh, I think getting back to the national championship game, the ending of the national championship game last year has been on the front of everybody's minds since that game. No one will come out and talk about Alabama. They'll mention it in passing. Now they're allowed to grant that Alabama is the opponent in the SEC championship and that all is going to come back. And there's going to be a lot of bringing up those sore memories. For a long time, members of this year's team have talked about finishing the job, finishing what last year's team couldn't do. Problem for Georgia is they don't have the talent of last year's team. Or they don't have the experience, I should say, of last year's team. They don't have the veteran-laden talent. The reason I take it back is they do have the talent. They have a lot of really good freshmen and sophomores, some juniors and some seniors, but especially those freshmen and sophomores are getting better, and that's what gives this team hope that maybe this team could be peaking at the right time, and by the time you get to Alabama, this team is really rounded into form. But yeah, this team has been geared towards getting back there and kind of exercising the ghosts of the Alabama game for a while now. So I think everyone kind of expected they would get that rematch with Alabama in Atlanta, and now it's coming.
Looking at this matchup now, Georgia comes in as a double-digit underdog to Alabama. What is Georgia's best chance to pull off an upset over Alabama?
Look, Georgia is going to be an underdog, a big underdog against Alabama, and they should be, especially when you look at the one common opponent that we have right now, which is LSU. We'll have Auburn to judge both teams by the time we get to the SEC championship. But look, Georgia got beat badly by LSU. Alabama badly beat LSU in the same stadium. Where can Georgia reasonably hope to fare better than anybody else have fared against Alabama? You kind of have to grasp at some things, but I think they're legitimate things to grasp at. Number one is Georgia's pure talent level. LSU has a lot of talent too, but they don't go as deep as Georgia. Georgia, if they're able to hang in the game against Alabama for long enough, they've got the depth to pull on the two deep offense and defense to really hang in there. They just need to avoid the injury bug over the next 3 weeks. The other thing is Alabama's personnel. Who knows them better than Kirby Smart, Mel Tucker, Glenn Schumann, these Georgia coaches? They've had to plan for it last year, a lot of it. Obviously, there's been a lot of turnover, but Kirby Smart and company have been recruiting a lot of these same players. They know Nick Saban. That's got to give them a little bit of an added edge. As far as X's and O's, look, can you stop Tua? Nobody has yet. Georgia, though, should have the best cornerback that Alabama has faced this year in DeAndre Baker. The problem for Georgia is DeAndre Baker's only one guy. Alabama goes really deep at receiver between Judy, the other guys, the tight end. I'm not sure Georgia can match up there. You're going to end up with some linebackers covering wide receivers and speedy guys having to be on a tight end who can go down the middle, and Tua is so accurate. It's going to be tough. But Georgia does have the pure talent to hang in there. We'll just see if they're able to hang in there long enough.
All right, thanks so much, Seth. We appreciate the insight on the Georgia Bulldogs. Seth Emerson with The Athletic. And of course, for all your Alabama Crimson Tide updates, you can visit us on AL.com.
This video was brought to you by Caliber, a luxury store in Homewood, Alabama that's reviving the finer things in hunting and fishing.